Let's dive into the inside scoop. I'm so excited to see Todd break down how Bo didn't have any issues yesterday. So, Todd, why don't you take us inside to the inside scoop?
All right, let's do it. We're going to start here with the first quarter. And the first quarter was not the hot start that we wanted, but this is Anthony Richardson's touchdown run. Just want to break this play down a little bit. What they do is they're running a slash with a zone read. So he's reading Jonah Ellis right here on the line of scrimmage. They tell him if his shoulders are square, meaning like he's trying to run upfield, then he needs to give the ball to the running back. But if his shoulders are downhill, like he's trying to tackle the running back, then he pulls it and then captures the edge. Well, the reason why this play is so easy is for two reasons. One, we don't have enough bodies on the outside right here. What happens is this wide receiver is coming to crack block our safety, so he's going to have leverage on him. That means Pastor 10 has to fire and crack replace. But what they do is they are able to slash this running back or wide receiver, and these linebackers are supposed to trigger and go back a gap to be able to help on this run to the outside. But unfortunately, we don't get the bodies to fall back fast enough. So Jonah Ellis, who they're reading, takes a step down. So as soon as he has that, Anthony Richardson is fast enough to capture the outside. And when they slash his wide receiver back, now they have a blocker one-on-one for Pat. So now you have a blocker on a body. Anthony Richardson has to beat, Jonah Ellis is fast, but Anthony Richardson is just a little bit faster, and he's able to capture the outside. And it was a good play design by them, but we didn't have enough bodies that kind of went back with the flasher, especially when you're in zone read. You got to follow the color in front of you, and that's why they were able to capture the edge on this one and get this touchdown.
This is a play the Broncos ran a lot a month or two ago. And they run a pistol, and it was usually Michael Burton instead of Pittman, who was pulling and running out in front. But just watching this makes me think the Broncos might need to get back to that, because they were running that when the run game was clicking more.
Yeah, because I think you really put this defensive end like in a bind. Because if we're reading him, like, you can't be right. That's the problem. And then it's tough because what you want him to do is to stay square so that they hand this ball off downhill. Because that way, then this extra blocker is not a factor because they're not running outside. And then he has the quarterback. Because if you see him, he just bluffs him. So if he's able to stay square, which he's supposed to have the quarterback. If he can just stay square, nobody's blocking for him. They're accounting for him not being able to get there because, he's going to make the wrong read, which offensive credit, it's a great play because the defensive end can't be right.
If let's say, I don't know, Aiden O'Connell runs this play, Jonah is probably okay, and that end is probably okay doing exactly what he did here because he's going to be able to catch up to him. But I would imagine the coaching, and Todd, you tell me if I'm right, the coaching for this play for this team, when you're going up against a Lamar Jackson, an Anthony Richardson, a Josh Allen, is Jonah can't be a little hesitant. He has to take the quarterback every single time and eliminate him. And then if it is handed off to Jonathan Taylor, then the rest of the team can take him, right?
Exactly, because you talked about it, Anthony, Aiden O'Connell. Like, I want to fake like I'm taking the running back. I want you to pull the ball because I can fake here and still tackle you because you're not fast enough. So but like you said, when you're playing Anthony Richardson, like, everybody has a job, everybody has a responsibility. It's important that you keep contained right there.
And the other tough part for Jonah on this play is I haven't watched the Colts a lot, but when the Broncos were running this more, they would also just run the split zone, and so that puller can also just take out Jonah on the edge, and all of a sudden it's just a designed run play. And so Jonah must see this edge coming and say, like, well, this could be the split zone who I'd want to, like, lay a shoulder into so that he doesn't knock me back, or it's the read option where you can pull and take it out around. And so when those two plays look so similar and the responsibilities are so different, it's kind of tricky.
I just have to imagine when it's Anthony Richardson, though, it's coached this week of you have to take this away, even if it is that zone. We'll have other guys who, that's going to go inside anyways, so we'll have other guys there.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit like pre-snap recognition. Like you talked about with the Broncos, they use Burton a lot. Like if I'm looking down the line and I see, okay, Martin Burton's on the other side, he could potentially come. I got to be ready to take on that hit. If I see Pittman, like, come hit me if you want. You're not going to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit of like pre-snap recognition. All right, right here. This is the one you said that is on Bo? Like the one that he threw to the linebacker.
This is the one in the first quarter. Yeah. This one's on Bo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Good to know.
Of course you picked this one. Jeez, you're just
I don't know
joining
if
the
I have the
Henry
other
side
one.
recently.
But this is
shameful.
it's hard to
Playing the
tell
side.
exactly what they're playing because I
Oh.
can't see the back end, but it feels like they're playing cover 2 and with the 3x1, if he gets one vertical and he gets a dagger, the linebacker is taught to come off on the dagger. So if they were both vertical, the linebacker has to stay up to protect the inside. But with one vertical, the safety is going to squeeze back in and take the single vertical. So he does a great job of not only coming to take the vertical, but then he pads back with the quarterback's eyes. So unfortunately, Bo throws it right to him. He doesn't see him trying to work back inside. And I think this play was on Bo because I feel like for the first time in a long time, Bo was forcing throws. Like he knew where he wanted to go with the football and tried to get it there. And I feel like that's what he did the first 2 games of the season, but he had gotten far away from that and just started taking what the defense was given to him. But I don't think he did that right here with this play. I think that he saw them in cover 2. He thought the linebacker would either stay vertical or once he broke off that he would be able to fit it right behind the linebacker to Little Jordan Humphreys. But the linebackers did a good job of being square and actually caught it on his back shoulder and made a good play.
Yeah, really bad decision from Bo here. No excuses. That's the one that Sean pointed to.
Yep.
When you go to that first frame, you can really see what he's looking at, though.
Yes.
Because he must think that linebacker is just going to be running deep. Like it's a Tampa 2 and not just like a normal cover 2. And it's just going to open that space. But
yeah, and it's funny because this is one of the plays I talked about breaking down the Colts and, in a way that you could attack their defense. Like if this plays in cover 3, that's where I was saying you can hit players over the middle because this linebacker is going to spread out a little bit. This linebacker is going to spread, and then you have like a little honey hole in between the 2 linebackers where you could fit the ball in. But, that only works versus certain coverages and certain players. So, unfortunately, it wasn't cover 3. It was more cover 2, and he was allowed. The linebacker was smart enough and good enough to see the in-breaking route right there. All right, out to the tight ends. This is Troutman. This is a good throw by Bo Nix. He's able to find him right here. This is man-to-man across the board. Everybody's locked up. And these 2 are going to be responsible for the running back as he comes out. You got the safety over the top. And I don't know what this guy's doing. He's looking completely in the backfield. Everybody else is locked in, and he just lets him go. But nonetheless, it's not our fault. Troutman is able to get into the end zone. That was a good play design by the Broncos, and, we're appreciative anytime anybody just blows their assignment like that.
Yeah, incredible play design by Sean there.
those are tough ones to. If I was a play caller, I would have a tough time calling it because it isn't like this play is just going to like. You have multiple options. Like this one, it feels like you have the fake handoff and hopefully the linebackers get sucked up. You have the fake screen, and so hopefully the linebackers are looking that way.
Yep,
and with all
exactly.
that going on, it's like we're throwing it to the tight end, and it's kind of the only option here.
And I
You
think
just
that's
have to
what
hope
this
you
guy.
distract
I
him
think that's
enough
what
with
he
everything
saw
else.
is like the fake bubble screen, and he's just sitting flat-footed looking at Bo Nix when he's supposed to have his eyes on his coverage.
Yeah,
And I think that's what trips him up on this play.
yeah.
Man, the Broncos better start converting on screens more. Even Sean said, like, in my career, I've never had issues with wide receiver screens until this team. Now, a couple of weeks ago, they did score 2 touchdowns off those, and he was like, man, it was so nice to have. But if wide receiver screens, if they don't start working, those fakes aren't going to start working.
Yeah.
And what else isn't going to be working, because it shouldn't be now, is the fake handoff. If I'm a linebacker or if I'm a coach teaching a linebacker that's about to play the Broncos, never bite on a fake handoff. These guys can't run the ball when they try to anyway, so don't get caught by that. So that's something maybe we'll dive into tomorrow, how the Broncos get the running game going, because that's a big concern. And then plays like this won't be there if there's just no threat of a running game.
Yeah, everybody will just be ready for the pass because that's all we can do right now. All right, this one was, I think, the play that changed the game. This is when Taylor drops the ball at the 1 yard line or half yard line, however you want to see it. This was his long run. I feel like if this had stand, it would have been 20-7. I think we would have been in a hole and it would have been a tough day for us. But it ends up being a fumble and another turnover for us for this day. So if you look at this play right here, the reason why it works so well is I think we're a little bit bossed over too far to, the weak side, because they got to treat this extra body as if he was kind of on this line because he's a potential lead blocker for this running back. So first and foremost, on this play, sorry guys, you got DJ Jones right here in this front side A gap. He has D gap, or he has C gap, he has D gap. But at the start of the play, DJ Jones swims backside, and that works if you're able to get penetration and make the play. But if it doesn't work, now you have the B and the C gap, or the A and the B gap completely wide open, and you got one-on-one with the linebacker. This offensive lineman is scooping to the backside linebacker, and these guys all have leverage on their blocks to just wash them out. So that's the reason why this big crease is created. I think DJ Jones, you're trying to make a play, but sometimes if you swim or if you go backside, you have to get home, because if you don't, it leaves a huge void in the defense, and that's how you see everybody gets washed down. We have the one-on-ones on linebackers, and although you want to be agile, I mean, you got 330 versus 230. You're not going to win in most shoving matches, and they're able to capture this big gap right here, and he really does a good job of hitting the hole. And this right here is where he made a mistake. Like,
that's bad.
Noshawn was sitting right next to me, and he was pissed. He was glad that the Broncos got the ball, but just as far as running back play, like, this is like a huge no-no as a running back. And it, really cost this team the game, I feel like.
Well, and not only the game, you can make an argument that this, 1 foot wrong decision right here cost the Colts, was the most influential play
for sure
in the entire NFL and the entire season, because not only did it potentially lose the game for the Colts, it also killed their playoff chances. Now they went from, a 30 to like a 5% chance to make the playoffs, or maybe even more drastic. After that, the Colts can no longer, in a two-way tie with the Broncos, beat them for a playoff spot right now. And just like Sean Payton kind of took the same approach. Like, it didn't even seem after the game that Sean was happy that this happened and completely flipped the game in the Broncos' favor, because from just a football standpoint, he was so upset that any player, even on the other team, would allow this to happen. I had to almost remind Sean, no, this saved you guys in this game. You can be happy about it. But yeah, I don't know how any player lets it, especially when it's happened multiple times this season around the NFL. How do you let this happen? And when Sean was asked if it could be a teaching moment for the Broncos, he said, no, this can't be a teaching moment. That should never happen. He was just so upset about it that he doesn't even want to look at this play again.
It was also funny in the locker room afterwards, because some guys just tried to, PJ, for example, really tried not to rub it in. It's I just don't know how it happens, but football gods had our back, that sort of stuff. Yeah. But then you also have Adam Troutman, for example, said that he was asked what would happen if somebody on Sean's team did that. He's like, well, if we were on the road, we'd be flying commercial back. I think Court said the same thing. That'd be the last play you'd have as a Bronco. Or I think Cooper was the best when he said, shout out to him.
All right, let's get back into it. This is another interception from Bo, sadly. But I thought it was good to break it down. So we got 2x2, send Javonte in motion to that side. Can't tell exactly what they're playing on defense, but I know we have a squat corner down here. My problem with this play is I think Bo is eyeing it the entire time. You got a check release or a chip release right here by the tight end. So he chips to give help to the tackle, and then he's going to release to the flat. He's like the safety valve. And over the top, you're going to have Courtland Sutton trying to hit the honey hole again, or the space in between the squat corner, which is right here. He was down here on the flat route, and the safety over the top. My problem with this throw is I think you cannot throw this ball inside. One, if you're going to take the throw, you got to throw it earlier, because you're eyeballing it. So now the safety's watching you. And then also, if you're going to throw this ball, I think it needs to be out here. It has to be going to Courtland, or it needs to end up on the sideline. You can't throw it behind Courtland and the safety has a chance to recover, because if you look at this angle right here where he makes the catch, he's coming this way to the football. And if the ball is thrown this way, I think Courtland can either come back for the football, or it's going to hit Courtland and go. He's going to go out of bounds, or it's going to be an errant throw. But nevertheless, you put it in a place where the safety can't get to it. And I think this was an underthrown ball, and I think that's why this ball was picked off.
Now, just because I think this is the one where Sean was chewing into Courtland right after this one. How live in this world that Sean was chewing out Courtland after this because Courtland did something wrong? What would Courtland have done wrong here that would have put this on him and him not being in the right spot?
So I think the only thing that Sean could say is that, 3rd and 10, I don't necessarily need you running this at was at almost 20. You could run it technically right here at 14 to 15, get the first down, and then we'll move on to play another day. But I think either way, still think Cortland was open. I think it was a bad throw. But if I could say that Sean was mad at anything, I think he wants it done here instead of here.
Okay.
Yeah. Fair. Or he kind of ran the corner. He rounded a bit, maybe just flat to the sideline. Because it almost seems like it could be like a comeback, except you have the underneath defenders. That doesn't work.
Yeah, but on these routes, the reason why our wide receivers round is because I got to make it look like I'm running vertical as much as I can. And so a big breakdown, even though I can break down fast, you see my feet chatter, and then you're able to break on the ball. If I can run and they just like take this dig step and try to, turn out, it allows them to create more space because I made you think I was going vertical for so much longer than if I had to like break down and run it out.
And it really is wide open.
Yeah.
Like there's so much space. Yeah.
Yep. All right, we got to give some love to special teams. We don't do this much often, but Marvin Mims, big 61-yard return, set up a touchdown to Cortland Sutton. No matter what, you got to make the first guy miss, so I think he does a great job of that. And then what they also tell you is they're trying to pin us on the sideline right here. So in order to counteract that, a lot of returners just run and try to get the edge, but that gives these guys time and space to react and end up making the tackle. But Marvin Mims does a great job of making the first guy miss, and then he gets vertical. So he goes up and then out. So you make the defense converge just a little bit longer, and I call it defense because now the ball's punted, so now it's like the defense. They converge a little bit longer, which allows you to get vertical and then capture the edge, and that's exactly what he does right here. So he gets the vertical first, then he gets around to the edge. He gets some help from his lead blockers. Guys going in there doing a great job. Love this back block. This is a play where you could blind side block the guy, but instead of getting a foul, you just turn your back to him. So let the ref know it's like, hey, I wasn't trying to kill him. I tried to save him, so don't throw the flag. Great blocking here by Skinner, and he's able to turn this corner. 61 yards, great return. You guys know who that is?
That's Drew Sanders.
Shout out to Drew Sanders, back in the mix.
He almost had a
making
punt
things
block,
happen.
too.
Yeah, I think this should be a touchdown though. If you got one-on-one, you got a linebacker versus the punter, and you got Mims, like we got to get to the house right here. But unfortunately, we didn't. But still, it was a great return for Marvin Mims.
Sorry, Todd. One of the things that I love about Marvin is he typically goes north and south, and that's exactly what you highlighted there. Was his initial was going north and south to at least pick up some yards, and then it also messes up the coverage like you showed. Then he breaks it to the outside, but when he breaks it to the outside, he's not just going on a yard marker. He's actually still going up the field. And look at the score and time of this game.
Man.
When Marvin catches the punt, at the 20-yard line?
Yeah.
The Broncos offense hadn't scored a touchdown since the first quarter. They are down right now with 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're down 13-10. Who knows what happens if he doesn't have this big return? What gets him to the 15-yard line? Come on. Anyone should be able to score from the 15-yard line. This was such a big moment in the game because then, of course, the Broncos go on to score 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter and win here. But I just couldn't believe that this play was still in the fourth quarter because they're down right now.
Yeah, we really didn't play 3 good quarters of football. Like, we found a way to win this game in the fourth quarter and really scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And if any of you in the Toyota chat see this play again on Twitter or whatever, just watch JL Skinner the entire time because it's just an insane play. He's taking out guys left and right.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome. And it's a lot of fun, especially because it's Drew Sanders out there too. And that's why you draft the big, strong guys, because even hopefully those guys turn into starters. If not, this is what you can do on special teams when you're just massive and can take guys out.
Yeah, you definitely drafted him to play, but special teams.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Honestly,
3
same
phases
thing,
to football.
same thing with Marvin. You want him to be a starting receiver, but instead you found the best return in the AFC by just about any stat.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little consolation at the very least.
All right, here's the great pick. What do they call it? A fumble recovery from Nik Bonitto. So it's 4x1. They're going to do a little pass out here, and then he's going to pass it back. But what's crazy about this play is that you see Pat putting pressure on the receiver throwing the football. Pat is right here next to Nik Bonitto. So he rushes off this edge on a blitz and then gets to the other side. But Nik Bonitto, he's kind of getting blocked, and then he just kind of just stays patient and, waiting to see what's going to happen, what's going to develop. And sure enough, he goes from being right here, and he just jumps right in front of the pass fumble. and is able to take this ball to the house. He's playing really, really well, but this is just patient football. I thought it was very unique to see Pat and him were right next to each other. Pat continues to rush. Because if Nik rushes, like, this play is absolutely set up to be a great play for them. Like, they would absolutely score on this play if it's not for Nik Bonitto. They have all the bodies in position to block up for this pass to get back downfield. So shout out to Nik Bonitto making a game-changing and game-saving play.
Well, and with him being second in the NFL in sacks, we talk about how good of a pass rusher he is with his get-off and stuff, and he deserves a lot of credit. This play was won from the mentals, and he absolutely won it there. He said he realized at the start something weird was happening just because of, you typically don't throw a pass backwards for his screen. And then instead of just going and tackling Anthony Richardson, he waited. He baited him into it. It was, I believe the guy that threw the ball said, well, the play was set up fine until Nik Bonitto turned into Ed Reed on that play, and that's exactly what he did. Todd, love the inside scoop. We got a lot of